Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining me today as we unbox this new Hominin cast from France. Can't wait to show you what's inside. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe and leave a like. That's the best way to help my channel out. Fairly recently, I discovered a new molding workshop that I hadn't known about before. I've scoured the internet for places where you can buy hominin casts, and this one was a new one. I probably hadn't come across it before because it was located in France. And this is called the Association Insertion Patrimoine Total. I probably butchered something there because that's all written in French, and I don't know French or how to pronounce it. Anyway, that's the name. I'll leave a link to their website in the comment section below. Very nice website. However, they don't have any postcranial material on hand, which is the material that I'm interested in looking at. Basically anything besides the skull, right? And so I reached out, and it turned out they had quite a large collection of postcranial material that was available and was simply not listed on their website. And so I had a very nice interaction with the employees there and ended up buying multiple hominin casts, one of which has arrived that we'll be talking about today. So let's take a look at it. All right, I've got the box here. This is pretty nicely packaged. We've got packing peanuts around. I've removed some because otherwise I'm just gonna spill them all over my desk everywhere. And it's neatly wrapped in bubble wrap as well. So let's pull this out of here. Here we are, you can see. Let's put the box to the side since we do not need to spill packing peanuts anywhere yet. And let's unwrap this. So we've got this one way. And then we've got this bubble wrap going another way. And here we are. So this is a famous fossil pelvis, and it comes from the site of Arago in France, which is near this town called Totevel, which is where this casting workshop is located. So it's basically one of the hominin fossils found in their local region of this casting workshop. This fossil was discovered by Henry and Marie Antoinette de Lumley in this Arago cave, which overlooks the Arago Valley. And there were about 11 meters of sediments in this cave that they excavated through, and they found tons of hominin fossils. Lots of skulls and mandibles, but also quite a bit of postcranial material like this here, which is very valuable for helping our understanding of these creatures. So who exactly did this belong to? Well, most people would say that this belonged to Homo heidelbergensis, although some people call it Homo erectus totovalensis, which I think is somewhat of a minority, but provisionally at least, we'll just call this a Homo heidelbergensis pelvis. Now this is really a beautiful cast here. They have several levels of quality in terms of painting. All of their moldings come from the same molds, and so they don't really have different levels of quality in terms of the actual material itself, but they have, different levels of painting. So you can get kind of just your typical painting or like more of a museum style one. And I just went with the typical kind of painting because it was cheaper, and it's really, really detailed, very beautifully painted. Also, it's just a very nice cast. It has a bit of weight to it. It doesn't feel super fragile like some do. So overall, I would say this is a really beautiful piece of work here. So let's compare this pelvis to that of a modern human, a Homo sapiens, like you and I are, and figure out what the differences are and what the similarities are. So to begin with, let's just look at what was preserved. First of all, we have this area here where the sacrum articulates with the innominate. And you can see that's also been preserved in Arago 44. Then we have a lot of this portion here called the iliac blade, Coming down, as you can see, it is broken down there. So we have a little bit of this section underneath of the acetabulum, which is this hole right here where your hip socket is, and you can see it's broken off right underneath there. Turning around to the back, you can see there are some holes here in the center of kind of the iliac blade, and then the right edge here is somewhat fragmentary as well. But we have a lot of important parts of this pelvis preserved. So what are some of the unique features of this pelvis? Well, let's begin on the back side of the pelvis. And we're looking here, this hole is the hip socket, right? It's called the acetabulum. That's where the ball of your femur fits into your hip bone. And you can see on this pelvis, there is this structure here. It's a bulge that sticks out right above the acetabulum. And this is called the iliac buttress. It plays an important role in basically strengthening the ilium. And what you can see here is that in Arago 44, the iliac buttress is quite heavy. It is quite pronounced. And this is an indication of additional strength of the pelvis bones. Another feature of interest is the iliac tubercle, which is this portion on the top surface of the pelvis that sticks out. This iliac tubercle plays a role in muscle attachment as well as kind of leading into the iliac buttress there. And once again, the iliac tubercle of Arago 44 is more pronounced than that of your kind of average modern human. One thing which surprised me when I first saw Arago 44 is how large it is. When you compare, for example, the sacroiliac joint, you can see that this pelvis has a much larger joint for fusion to the sacrum, right? And another is kind of the width of the iliac blade. See how the modern human iliac blade doesn't extend so far across as Arago 44 does? It's very wide, and this is something that is sometimes referred to as kind of an iliac flare, and that is that the pelvis bones stick further out to the side and they don't curve inwards as much so fast as in modern humans. So when we compare them like this, you can once again see that the Arago 44 pelvis is much kind of broader, longer, so to speak, than that of the modern human. Another kind of consistent trend is attachments from muscle sites being much heavier and stronger than those in modern humans. Right here is the anterior inferior iliac spine. It's this little portion that sticks out here. And that serves as a place for muscle attachments and ligaments, kind of go in between the grooves here. And it is very large, and it's been described as kind of looking sigmoidal as well. Another feature which I've seen talked about is the depth of the Iliopsoas groove. Now, this groove is in between the anterior inferior iliac spine and this kind of bulge on the outside of the acetabulum here. And you'll see there's kind of a groove right in between there. And this happens to be fairly deep groove, not often seen in modern humans. This is the pelvis of a Neanderthal from the site of Krapina in Croatia. And what you'll notice is that they are actually quite similar in size, once again being larger than that of the modern human. As we turn here, we can see they've both got a very large acetabulum compared to that of the modern human. Once again, this very pronounced iliac buttress and tubercle. And also, this notch here, called the sciatic notch, is also much wider than in modern humans as well. And once again, we've got very pronounced places for muscle attachments and very deep grooves for ligaments and tendons. This specimen comes from Kabwe, and it's believed to be associated with the broken hill skull, which would also sometimes be classified as Homo heidelbergensis. And we can see once again a lot of these same features, but this particular individual was even more pronounced and even better and stronger developed than the Arago pelvis. Now, this trend towards having very robust bones with very large muscle attachments is not unique simply to the pelvis, because all of the bones, when we look at of these humans, like Homo heidelbergensis or Neanderthals, which appear to be closely related, all have this kind of general trend towards being very muscular and having very robust bones, even though they were shorter than us. So I like to kind of think of them as having been very stocky, but very muscular. So as we just saw, there are different features which we can use to distinguish between the hip bones of various human species. And this hip bone has some of those unique features, setting it apart from modern human Homo sapiens. So thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.